to welcome you to Living Your Dreams television broadcast. My job is simple: social reformation. The family unit must be a safe place for children to thrive, and bad marriages must stop happening. God will help us. And the marriages that are not working now will start working. The society will only be strong when the families are strong. The families will be strong when the mothers and fathers who lead families will become strong people and begin to produce strong, healthy individuals. Today we're looking at love hunger in the hearts of young people. We're looking at how to help young people meet the love hunger in their hearts. Today, young people are going through so much. Many of them are starving for a relationship like never before. And in the process of trying to get the relationship get their relational needs and emotional needs met, some of them end up harming themselves for life and not knowing how to handle relationships. They goof. Some are able to come out of a toxic, terrible relationship, either in the family or with friends. But it will be good for us to help them navigate through the bloody seawater of relationship when it is toxic. I want you to notice that many young people have been affected by all kinds of abuse. Sexual abuse, parental abandonment, whether the father or the mother left the child, divorce, separation. I can go on and on and on. I'm going to give us statistics that will help us make sense of this conversation today. Many people have developed what we call relational wounds, wounds caused by attachment or wounds caused by relationship. How are we going to help them forgive the people that caused this pain, live beyond the hurt, and become all they were created to be? So these are the things we're going to explore today. How to, the reasons why people are starving in relationship. The people we have love, we are starved for relationship. It could be caused by circumstances, it could be caused by people. So I want to give you the following statistics. I read these statistics from somewhere. Number one, what are the reasons why people are starving for relationships? Let's look at them. Someone did this research and they discovered that the first one is fatherlessness. It is said that 40% of children, youth today, live in a home without their biological fathers. Now I'm now going to bring it down to teenagers, people who are still under their parental authority. 40% of them live without their biological fathers. Reason: most have never seen their biological fathers. You know, I can't go into too many details of telling you this happened and that happened and all of that. But most have never seen their father in the past 12 years. This will eventually affect how these teenagers will do relationship with other people. If your father, who is supposed to be there for you, to give you love, you wake up one day, he has walked away with another woman, this will eventually affect how you do relationship with others and God. It will affect your core relational beliefs. Number two, the second reason that causes this starving for relationship is sexual abuse. Look at these statistics. 1 out of every three girls has been sexually abused by the time they are 18. And they were sexually abused by someone who they are supposed to be able to love and trust by age 18. Out of every 6 boys will also have gone through one out of every 6 boys will also have gone through the same experience like the girls. In other words, would have also have gone through all kinds of abuse, not just sexual abuse, neglect, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and all of that. And if this boy joined a cult, the boy must have gone through horrible abuse trying to be part of a cult system. The question becomes, how will this person be able to relate with other people when this person gets to be in a proper relationship? It will impact how they do relationship. The third one is divorce. Today we're talking about COVID-19, which is a pandemic. It may interest you that there's an epidemic that has been on, a pandemic that has been on for years. That is divorce. Beyond divorce, even if you take away divorce, the fighting, the quarreling, the screaming, the battering that is going on at home. Many of our children have seen all of that, and it has punctured their love tank. They are starving for love. The statistics said nearly 9%, 50% of marriages end up in divorce. Your own will not be part of it. Neither am I condemning those who have gone through divorce. Someone made a research and the person said 66 to 70% of people who separated never divorced. They didn't divorce, they were separated, but they never came back. This is what children are witnessing while they are watching us parents. There is war that is going on at home, and if this war is not stopped, many young people, many teenagers will be going through a love hunger that if nothing is not done, if they are not able to as it were, harness it and solve it, they will look into anywhere to grab on anything to try to save life. It's like someone who is drowning in a sea or in a pool. The person is gasping for breath and calling for oxygen. Anything he sees, he will grab that thing for life. When people are going through starvation for relationship, when people are having a relationship, having a love hunger, and nothing is done about it, they will go around and look for anything to solve that problem. I will be back. See you shortly. Hello, I'm Benson-Akhigbe. I'm inviting you to a soul transformation workshop called Unbound that will help you release every pain that has been stored in your soul, either because of the bad things that happened to you or the things that you were supposed to get legitimately that you couldn't get because someone that you love was absent, whether your mother or your father or anybody found himself absent. This is a workshop that will help you bring relational order into your life. A workshop that will help you deal with pain decisively, handle relationships skillfully, move into the future expectantly. I desire to be emotionally free, to be everything God has created me to be. Come to Unbound Workshop. This is a workshop that will help you reset, reform, transform, and move on through the waters of 2021. See you there. Welcome back. If you're joining us, we're looking at the reasons young people are starving for relationship, especially teenagers. You know, when we talk about young people, we're saying that what you say to one, say it to all, because what is making them starve for relationship will not be too far from what made us starve for relationship when we were like them. And some of us have grown with that way. That's the way. There is a narrow pathway in our minds that is working like that, because the law of first mention, the way you define something for the first time, anytime you see that thing, that will be the way you'll always define it, because the way the brain works is that there's a neural pathway in your brain that those thoughts create. So what it is for teens is also what it is for those of us who never have a healthy childhood and have not gone through allowing the Spirit of the Lord and the Word of God to renew our minds. So some of those things is financial pressures. Many families are going through fighting, quarreling because of pressure in the area of financing, and children are exhausted because they are the ones that are soaking up all these things that's going at home. Parents are frustrated, fighting all the time. They don't even have enough love anymore to give to the children. So someone says to themselves, I'm not a good father, I'm not a good mother, and some people just eventually give up. That makes children to starve. That will make us starve for relationship. And then when you come to the areas of loss, death, some people have suffered death, and that created a vacuum, a love hunger in their hearts. The next thing that could cause this starving for relationship is relocation, moving. When we move, we lose friends, we lose family there is a kind of change that happens on your inside. You're asking yourself, these new friends that I'm getting, are they going to like me? Will they accept me? Loss of status. You have worked so hard to become something in the school and then in the community, and then comes the movement and the relocation. All of that will cause starving for relationship. So the reason we're saying this is not just to dictate the problems, and also to let us see how we will have to go solve the problems. It is a broadcast that will go on for about 4 weeks. So whatever we leave out today, we pick it up the next one. The next one is working parents. How does this affect children? The statistics says 56% of children under the age of 6 have both parents working outside the home, which was against 19% in 1960. It would have been higher now because this research was done some years back. 42% of children from kindergarten through nursery school under the age of 6 are equally left alone to care for themselves, and sometimes we leave them completely in the hands of someone to look after them. But we must create such a safety net around our children that we don't leave them completely to strangers. I'm saying this because these are the children that you're going to meet every day. Some of them, you meet them, your teachers. Some of us are mentors who mentor young people who played sports at the field and all of that, and different youth groups. And there are many people who have started youth non-profit organizations. These are things you're going to look at. These people are left alone to care for themselves until their parents comes back from home. The next thing that will cause starving a relationship is alcoholic homes. Alcoholic homes has affected over 26 million children. And a young man was saying that when he was a child, he loved his father so passionately. Whenever his father is coming home, he'll be so looking forward to go and welcome the father at home. But he's not sure what he will meet at the door, because the father always comes home drunk, whether he's going to meet a slap or a shout. So that happened to the point that he had to shut down. He shut down inside him. He clinged into his cocoon. Of course, this will affect how this young man will do relationship. All these things I have mentioned so far, all these things will affect how we handle and how we do relationship. Sometimes we think that children are immune to the kind of things, the pains we go through. Whether we like it or not, children, teenagers are like us. They are human beings like us. They are not immune. They feel the same pains, and they need someone to care for them. We need to make sure that we create a safe place for these children. Life is very fun. Shalom, everybody. So good to see you today again. How are you? Children are not immune to the pain we go through. Thriving Tales, you saw that. They are really not immune to the pains we go through. Welcome, Oduwa. Welcome, Juliet. Welcome, Stella Maris. I'm so happy to see you. It's so good to see you here. Alabi, I saw you first. Thank you so much for being here. We're back, KG. So good to be here. And my dear husband, everybody welcome. Fet O Official, Maranatha, Gabriel. All right, let's see how we can begin our discussion today. We're in a new month, the month of June. The year has divided into two. Yay! And our discussion today is bordering around something that nobody wants to talk about, but it is there. It's bordering around sexual abuse. You know, it's not very easy to talk about sexual abuse, because even anywhere you look around these days, it looks as if there's something wrong, as if we're practically in a new world, and you're wondering what is happening. WHO said that 1 in 3 women have gone through sexual abuse. It's not easy to ask someone if you have been through sexual abuse, but how we're going to drive this 20 minutes and then maybe give you opportunity to talk is to look at it from the eyes of parents. Oh, Angule, it's so good to see you. Let's look at sexual abuse from the eyes of parents. I'm wondering why the Bible said that people have eyes yet they do not see, they have ears yet they do not hear, and they do not remember. That is exactly Mark chapter 8 verse 18. That conversation is on. Sometimes I need to ask you this question. Have you ever left your child in the safety of someone you trust? You actually believe that this person can take care of your child, only for you to come home and realize that it looked like a mistake. Has that ever happened to you before? Have you heard the story? Have you heard have you ever heard that it happened to someone? And you know, when that kind of thing happens, the kind of questions that goes through your mind is unimaginable. When you discover that the child you left under the protective care, forgive me, let me just take some water. There are many questions that have risen from the bleeding. Oh yes, you have heard the story. Stella Maris, I've heard such a story. You go kill the person straight. Why will you kill the person straight? Why? Okay, Stella Maris, thank God Stella Maris has heard that kind of story before. The questions like this arise from the bleeding and bewildered hearts of thousands of parents who have just discovered that their child, who they have been so safe in their love, nurture, and protection, has been sexually molested by someone they trusted. Just imagine, God forbid 250 billion times. A child that had been in your safety, in your love, safety, nurture, and protection, you left that child in the hands or safety nets of someone you truly trust that cannot harm your child, only for you to come home and realize that you made a mistake. And for so many parents, the question is, how can I ever forgive myself for letting such a thing go on, especially if the sexual abuse have gone on for it happened to your friend P. Sunday. Hey, I wish we can even phone and hear this story. I'm considering that because I would like to hear what happened to your friend. How did it happen? So we have two people today who are confirming this thing, that children were left, the children that have been so safe, very safe in your own net. As long as these children have been with you, they were safe. There was no problem. And all of a sudden, you leave these children in the hands of someone you love, someone you trust. With you, these children have been safe in your love, in your nurture, and your protection. Babe, would you ever forgive yourself for letting such a thing happen? Because you constantly ask yourself, where was I? How could I have failed to see that this is happening, especially if it has gone on for a very long time and if it has happened under your roof? Now, these simple answers these simple questions I'm asking will not be able to take away the pain of such a serious incident. So what should you do when you discover that your child has been sexually molested? So if you have such an incident, the first thing you need to deal is with your own self-condemnation. That nagging question. Okay, so so I'm going to read what Stella said very shortly. The first thing you need to do, my friends, is to deal with your own self-condemnation. The failure that resulted from you not being what you wanted to be for the child, and to overcome the punishment of wallowing in the misery. Oh, what if only I knew. Maybe when you went out, something had been telling you that this kind of thing has been happening. You can't continue in that self-condemnation. Okay? So what should you do? You need to release that burden of woundedness, anger, and hate upon Jesus, who has borne your grief and carried your sorrows. That's the first place to start. If you're joining us today and somewhere along your life, your child, your loved one has been under the burden of sexual abuse, I understand the pain that comes with self-condemnation, that I failed my child, the failure that has to do with I desperately wanted to be there for you and overcome the need to punish yourself. What if? Oh, how I wish. But I want to see what Stella Maris said. He said, I have someone who told me the father abused her. Ooh. And she told her mom. Her mom shut her up. So let nobody hear. I want to see, look at what she said. Look at what Stella said here. I have someone who told me the father abused her, and when she told her mom shut her up and said, let nobody hear. And when I heard it, I was pained. So pained. They shut her up and she became a shadow of herself. You can see, you can imagine what is going on. And even in my work as a therapist, I've seen this happen again and again, especially in our nation, in Africa, where you say, don't let people hear, don't let shame come. There have been incidences where a young girl have been feeling that something happened to her. It took almost 40 years for her mom to tell her. When you asked her mom said, the shame, that time, 40 years ago, is not, nobody's talking about it. I was so ashamed to talk about it. But just in case you're there, release that pain of condemnation to Jesus, the woundedness, the anger, and the hate. The second thing you need to do, if you have noticed that something has happened under your roof, is to forgive yourself. And in forgiving yourself, realize also at times you might need the support of and the coaching of a prayer minister. We call ourselves prayer ministers, all right, to help you walk through the process, because you need to say, Lord, confess your feelings. Don't bottle in your feelings on the inside. And most times, many people feel that God is such an old man carrying a stick that is waiting for you to make a mistake. He will hit it on your head. You need to forgive yourself. Tell God how you feel about what has happened. So why is it that something like this happens and parents don't know? They don't have eyes to see when such a thing has happened. Wisdom is needed. And I'll tell you why. The first one is, many of us do not want to believe that it is possible that a trusted friend or loved one, especially a father or a stepfather, just like Stella Maris was sharing with us now, many of us don't want to believe that that thing is possible. Many of us don't want to believe it. So what we do, even when you suspect or the Spirit of the Lord begin to highlight that such a thing is going on, you will resist the idea and even start feeling guilty that such a thing crossed your heart at all. You know how the Holy Spirit is. Something is going on under your roof and the Spirit of the Lord begins to highlight it for you, or somehow your instincts begin to show you that there is something going on. What you don't do, most times what we don't do, you just live in denial. You just say, no, it's not possible. It's not possible. You don't want to believe that it can even happen at all. Even when the instincts are there, most of the time you resist the idea, feel guilty that such a thing crossed your heart. And at times when your instincts continue to say to you, there is something going on around here, you start being afraid of the possible consequences of discovering the truth. What if actually you discover that your husband, your brother, your pastor, your religious leader, or any authority figure, or your child's boss, who is your friend, there's been a kind of sexual abuse? What will you do? So the fear of discovering the truth, the consequences of discovering the truth, most times overcomes your ability to confront the issue. Even when it is obvious, you think about, hey, if this thing actually is the truth, how am I going to go about it? So you become afraid to confront such an issue. Has it happened to anybody that is under the sound of my voice? Are there some things that they are so hard for you to confront? And you know, the next thing you do is you suppress the thoughts. And you suppress the thoughts and the feelings to the point of total denial. You deny it unknowingly. When you're doing that, you are becoming blind, you're becoming deaf, you are becoming insensitive to the reality. Because you know how God is. He will tell you, Manata, this is what is going on. He will tell you, Stella Maris, Uyi, this is what is going on. You just use your head and think about it. What is the possible consequences of discovering that this thing is the truth? By the time you reason it up and down, you think about, oh, maybe this person will be arrested. Maybe this person will be jailed. Maybe everybody is talking about it. Maybe it will turn into a scandal on social media. What's going to happen? Now, if it is a little child, you are protected. I don't want to go into all of that, but let's come here. I want us to hear this reality. 1 in every 3 women, 1 in every 3, and if it is men, 1 in every 6, as I'm talking to you, they are going through sexual abuse or they just came out of sexual abuse. We can't live in denial. We can't continue to deny that such a thing is going on. We need to call it out. Okay? So you need to equip your eyes to recognize symptoms of sexual abuse. I want to see what Peace Sunday is saying here. She said, my friend told me, I want us to read it together. My friend told me he was traumatized when he's about 8 years old, though he's about 30 now. He said they will make him watch porn and make him, he said she will make him watch porn and make him touch her, but the parents never knew. Can you imagine? As I'm talking to this thing happened, this thing happened when the person is 8, and today the person is 8 years. So you can see that it is not something that is new, is going on. It says, someone said, a friend of over 30 years before speaking about her father's abuse. So father is synonymous with smell for her. She always remembered how his private part smells. Can you imagine? Now all of these things is happening in Africa. And she couldn't understand when I spoke of my loving father. So how we need to now equip our eyes. You can see the case studies people are bringing, things that have been happening. There are many more. Even there are many people who joined us today, who are going to even join us after this time, who have gone through sexual abuse and is affecting them. We're going to look at all the things that people go through when they have been sexually abused. And you know, this program is just for about 30 minutes. What also, another thing that is responsible for parental blindness is that many of us do not have the experience. You do not have the knowledge to identify the behavior in your children, the symptoms that is commonly associated, the symptoms that are commonly associated with sexual abuse. Many of us are blind to those symptoms. They don't know. So in this June, we're going to chase that rabbit. All right? You need to educate yourself to recognize sexual abuse. And notice also the number 3 point, that what you need to do to recognize, to equip yourself to recognize symptoms of sexual abuse. Before we talk about the symptoms, build a foundation for healing and trust. How? Realize when your children's behavior, when your children's behavior are strange, when their behavior is out of control, when they have often hurtful responses, recognize it. Recognize that it proceeds from woundedness. It proceeds from fear. And you know, sometimes when a child has gone through sexual abuse, their behavior is abnormal. And many of us do not recognize those strange, abnormal behavior. Their responses are so hurtful and looks as if it is rude. I'm not chasing the symptoms. But I need to tell you what you need to do. When you begin to see that, what should you do? Relate with them. Relate to them with tenderness and compassion. When you begin to see that your children's behavior is abnormal, relate with them, relate to them with tenderness and compassion rather than frustration and anger. Some of us will just get so angry, and then you begin to wound them more, thinking that, oh, this child wants to spoil in my hands. I'm going to hit you. I'm going to change you. So when your child's behavior is abnormal, when you discover that this is not so with them, it's like when a child who is who is always playing and very active is not playing and active. What should you do? Not beat the child up. Relate to them with tenderness and kindness, not with frustration and anger, so they can let you know what has happened to them. And you need to seek their forgiveness. That's number 4. Not only for your failure to protect them, but also for the wounds and unbearable pressure you have inflicted on them because you didn't understand what was going on. You know, because you don't know what is going on, in your desperation to try to rescue them from this bad behavior, you become wicked, if there's any word like that. You inflict more pain, you inflict more unbearable pressure. So you need to seek your children's forgiveness, not just that you didn't recognize, but your behavior towards them. He says some parents don't know what it means to relate with children with tenderness, and so you will spoil the child. Why do you think so, Stella Maris? Why do you think that some parents don't know? Let me hear from you. Why do you think so? Because some parents don't even know how to respond to children in discipline, when it has to do with discipline. But today we're chasing issues of sexual abuse. That when you realize that this child's behavior has been abnormal, please, I'll say it again, seek forgiveness from them. Not just because your eyes were not open to recognize what they have been through. Not just because of the failure that is associated with you not being able to recognize, but also you have inflicted wounds and pressure on them in your desperate effort to try to find out what is wrong. Number 5, do you know that victims of sexual abuse are worried about themselves? I hope you know that. Even if the person is 30, 40, they are worried about themselves. They are also struggling with feelings of guilt they don't know how to handle. Victims of sexual abuse will always think that it is their fault. Victims of sexual abuse will always think that it is their fault. So that's why you must relate with them, relate to them with tenderness and kindness, rather than frustration and anger. And when you are not able, when you didn't recognize what is happening, my brothers and sisters, my friends, this is when to seek forgiveness for not just your failure to recognize them, but how you have been mean with dealing with them. How many of us here have ever gone through any kind of sexual abuse? Some people are so ashamed of it that some people, because of how painful it was for some people, it has entered blind spot. There are many people who can't even remember that thing happened. Some people will feel pain. They'll feel some kind of pain, but they can't remember what caused the pain because of the shame that goes with it. So I'm first of all dealing with your responsibility to someone who has gone through sexual abuse. All right? When it has to do with children, especially teenagers, they will always feel that they are bad people. They will live with this confusion. They have seen confusion and hurt in their mother's eyes, especially when it is the mother's husband, their father, that is responsible for the sexual abuse. The child has this feeling that I'm a bad person. When they look at their mother's eyes, they will see confusion. They will see hurt in their mother's eyes. and they feel that they are responsible for the pain their mother is going through. This is what sexual abuse does to people. Nobody should abuse another person. They will feel that I am responsible. They will start running from everybody because they feel it's their fault. What should you do for people who have gone through sexual abuse? Please, every parent here, is you I'm talking to today. If you have young children, you have toddlers, if time permits me today, maybe time will not permit me, what I would do is to show you symptoms that shows you when your child, who is a toddler, is going through sexual abuse. And then the next week, I will take the second set of people, those of them in the primary school, I will take those of them in secondary school, I will take those of them who are adolescents. Then I will now go and talk about the long trauma associated with sexual abuse. So if you're a mother here or you have a loved one, there is something you can do to help them. You need to help them know that their feelings and behaviors were normal reactions to the abuse they experienced, that they are not terrible, they are not crazy. Like I told you, the victims of sexual abuse feel there is something wrong with them. They feel guilty and always feel it's their fault. And most times the society even makes them feel, oh, it's because he didn't dress well, or because it's that. It's not all of that. Any mother, any parent, if you are here, you have people under you that have gone through sexual abuse, please, you need to help them. Before we find prayer counselors, prayer ministers, therapists, and all of that, you have a part to play. Let them know that their feelings and behaviors were normal reactions to the abuse they experienced. Let them know that they are not crazy. Let them know that they are not terrible. So if you're also in this category, you're a parent and there are younger people around you, you need to provide them encouragement. You need to provide them healing for the things that they have suffered. If you don't know, don't say, listen, when someone has gone through sexual abuse, you don't know what to do. Don't start rationalizing. Don't say, there are some things you say that are even very hurtful. And I thank God that today there is a lot of help. Words are out there. If you have gone through sexual abuse or you are going through sexual abuse at the moment, I want to let you know that we are with you. Every Thursday, that is the 5th day of the week, we have experts, therapists, prayer ministers, intercessors who gather together to minister to people who have gone through all kinds of brokenness. They create a support system around you and then create an aftercare community to make sure that effective foundation is laid for reconciliation and bonding. Okay, someone says, what of a parent that is still traumatized from that abuse? Thank you for that wonderful question. So, 2 answers. When I start talking about how to resolve this diagnosis, the first thing I'm going to let you know that for someone who has gone through other kinds of abuse, we'll be talking about the person discovering the truth. We're talking about the person discovering the truth, where there is an exchange with the truth. But so for someone who has gone through sexual abuse, what we ask for is some of the things I've mentioned today, but there is an encounter that only Jesus can bring. I'm telling you, that experience is exchanged with where Jesus practically comes into your heart and there is this strong reassurance of the love of God. That self-condemnation is taken out. That guilt is taken out. That thing that something is wrong with me. I preached a message no matter cultivating a healthy self-image, because what sexual abuse does, it gets to your self-image and just tears it and just destroys it. Similar to what Satan did to Adam. He just walked up to him and destroyed his self-image. That self-image that is put into shreds, the Lord comes upon your hearts and starts putting you together. You look at yourself, you don't see someone that is condemned, someone that is a rag, and it becomes, most times If you have gone through healing from sexual abuse, you'll become a champion, an ambassador, and a channel through which God brings healing for other people. So I'm going to ask you to chase an encounter with the person of Jesus. Never stay. What did you go and do there? What did you wear there? When you went, you know the hear word, you have found what you are looking for. Those are kind of things that happens here when people have gone through sexual abuse, and we need to stop that nonsense. Those are the kind of things you turn around. The person is already going through pain. You turn around and blame the person and make the person feel, listen, nobody should be abused. As we begin to round up, we have about less than 3 minutes. I want to let you know what June is going to look like. We're going to help you pinpoint signs of possible abuse in the following people: toddlers and preschool children. We're going to show you 7 pointers if they are being abused. I need you to invite teachers, classroom teachers, mothers. The second set, we're going to go to the second set, preschool age to preteens. When they have gone through sexual abuse or going through sexual abuse, what are the symptoms? And then we move from there to the next stage. That one we're going to give you about 15 points to show you when these people are going through sexual abuse. Then we're going to move to the next set, adolescents. When they are going through or have gone through sexual abuse, we're also going to give you about 10 behaviors that will help you know what is going on in their lives. And then we're also going to tell you how to report sexual abuse. When someone has gone to say, when you want to report, the person is wicked, the person is wicked. Listen, if you don't report it, that person will continue to perpetrate that evil in the lives of other people. And the last set we're going to talk about is long-term effects of unresolved sexual abuse. You don't want to miss any of our broadcast in the month of June. As I close, I want to ask you a very intimate question. Just give me your ears. I want to whisper it in your ears. Have you gone through sexual abuse? Were you abused? You know why I'm speaking in shh. You know why all of us? Because there are many people who have gone through sexual abuse. And they are ashamed to talk about it. Come closer, let's talk about it. If you have gone through sexual abuse, you need to seek healing. I'm also going to show you the depths of devastating effect of sexual abuse. If you have gone through one, you can't continue to wallow in shame and put a painted sepulcher. Just paint. You just give us a front. Meanwhile, something is going on the inside. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of our broadcast today. Please take this. Inner Healing did a good job. Stella Maris, thank you so much. This Stella Maris, I would like to meet you. It's both of us that had this broadcast today. You just kept talking. Thank you so much, my friends. It's already time out. Please share this video with other people. Next week, we're going to talk about sexual abuse, how to pinpoint signs of sexual abuse in your toddlers. All right, I'll say that again. How to pinpoint behavioral symptoms in toddlers and preschool. We'll chase that next week. If we have time, we move to the next one, the preteens and those that is older than this preschool students. Tomorrow, please join us at GSW time. Let's destroy, let's pull down everything that was caused by abuse. Thank you so much for our time together. Thank you, my dear husband. See you, everyone. Bye.